is an inland northwest-based melodic hardcore band. Armed with outstanding songs and some of the area's most respected and admired musicians, Moretta has drawn immediate acclaim from around the region. Their highly anticipated debut album was produced and engineered at Rainbow Trout Studios in Spokane, Washington, both by Bill Neiman and Joe Paisley. The album was mastered by Grammy Award-winning 11-time RIAA Gold and Platinum Award recipient Alan Sanderson. He's worked with such artists as the Rolling Stones, System of a Down, Elton John, and Michael Jackson. The self-titled debut album has a unique catharsis for songwriter and frontman Joe Paisley.
But anyway, what sparked it was I was helping out some bands locally, behind the scenes, doing some producer work with them. You take a listen to them, either cut, edit, add some stuff, suggestions, whatever it was, and send them back. And they were turning out pretty good. And then, you know, basically Bill Neiman, straight up out front, like said, is this something that you want to start doing professionally? And I said, I don't really have a resume anymore that shows that I even know how to play an instrument.
Right.
You know, doing radio, playing music literally by pushing play and not being a musician. So I was like, well, how about I write a song and I'll play everything that's in it. And I was honestly about 3 weeks away from going in and doing it and recording it, just, you know, laying everything out. And I came across a drum cover video by this tiny 11-year-old. No, by Casey. And I said, I mean, literally in my brain, I was like, well, maybe I won't play everything. And reached out to him and said, hey, are you interested in pairing up? And I mean, we have never spoken before or anything. And he said, yeah, what do you have in mind? He came into the studio. I played Landmines for him on an acoustic guitar. He said, you know, I like it. Went in, recorded Landmines, sat on it, put it out. But we kind of realized that was our first attempt without really even giving it a serious go, and decided to keep on writing songs.
Yeah, and then it was gonna be like an EP, and then all of a sudden the next week it was like a full album. We were like, all right, let's just keep doing it.
Yeah, it just took off, and I got after it and sent scratch tracks around, and basically ended up being a gigantic album resume.
The self-titled Moretta album took the region by storm, earning consistent radio airplay and building up a quick following amongst loud music fans. To continue on the success of their album, they returned to Rainbow Trout Studios to record their version of Walk the Moon's Shut Up and Dance. Rounding out the four-piece on guitar for Moretta is Zach Weirchak, a local favorite who plays in numerous area-based bands, including the very popular Elephant Gun Riot, I Hate the City, and the infamous Thunder and Lightning.
I'd known Zach. We both work for KXLY. He's a news director for the 5 o'clock news, and I work for Rock 94.5. So I knew of him, and I'd kind of seen videos of him shredding online. But I had never met him in person. I've seen him play shows and seen the videos, and I just knew that he was really good. And then talking to Bill, he's like, no, you guys have the same, personality. Like, it would be a great fit, because that is huge.
Certainly two of the most exciting young musicians around, drummer Casey Moretta and bassist Connor Schneeberger, are both in their early 20s, but each of them have put in the long hours of learning their instruments and expanding their abilities.
Well, I mean, since playing bass since I was like little, I always, when I first started, my teacher got me into stuff like Black Sabbath, Boston.
Never heard of
Oh, I feel it.
some underground bands like.
Oh yeah, but I started playing metal and hardcore music, even deathcore music, when I was 14.
When I was 11, so
3 years ago.
About At the end of this year, I think it'll be like 9 years.
Besides singer Joe Paisley's background in hardcore music, Joe also released 2 very catchy and often moody acoustic albums. For Joe, music was a natural choice.
Growing up, my dad is a really incredible musician, and he never forced any of it on me. He played it very smart. He just had musical instruments all over the house, and they were just placed.
That is the way to do it.
Yeah, and so you just naturally, if you wanted to get down on it, you would pick it up at some point. You walk down the hallway, and in the hallway there was a piano. And then, you got to the other side, like in all the rooms there are guitars, and so you just like naturally started picking it up. Drums was the first thing I did, but it was all of it picking it up, and it's always been incredibly supportive. And I'm sure, as Casey can attest, for parents that have kids that are drummers, like that's like an extra insane level of support because it's not quiet. With
their brand of melodic brutality, Moretta is easily one of the Northwest premier bands, and certainly a band to get out and see if you get a chance. You can check out Moretta on moretta.bandcamp.com or read more from this interview at n2spokane.com. You can also read more about them in our Spokane edition of our November 2015 print magazine, available wherever fine music is supported.